Since returning to consciousness, still hospitalized, I don't remember anything I saw or exactly where I was. I remember my head itched bad because it was stapled, and it was stapled from the scalp being peeled for synthetic skull to be installed and the stuff I've learned. But I remember how much my head itched at the hospital, and since returning to consciousness at that time, was the deductive reasoning of a mathematical conclusion that was an absolutism of the approach that I should take to heal my cells. I remember asking if there was anything else that was damaged from the accident, and it was specified that nothing else was damaged, only brain matter, that everything else was not operating due to brain matter damaged, severed nerves. I remember this conversation. Of course, I don't know who with or anything I'll ever see or what hospital I was at, but it was the deductive reasoning based on a timeline. And the timeline that I explained was whenever my DNA came to be was an unknown. And it didn't matter if it was 5 billion years ago or 6,000 years ago, according to the legacies and things written by man. Regardless, the point was there was no possible way that any type of chemical component made by man in the last 100 years could have a piece that was required for the cells to heal. I wasn't arguing that these prescriptions they were saying would be useful in the statistical prevention of seizures or pain. I wasn't arguing anything like that. What I was saying was from a mathematical conclusion that was non-negotiable, that there was no possible way that any type of pill could contribute towards the cellular reconstruction of my damaged brain cells, that only that could come from food. I don't think a word of that was heard by the doctor, but either way, that is the same absolutism that I've got now, and I'm calling it Scratch 2020. It was recognizing that by doing things from scratch on a culinary end, it was providing guaranteed components that were for my cellular building and operation based on the DNA code. That's all. So to primarily consume things that have not been altered on any way, it means that their DNA was made the same time that my DNA was made. So the components will match up when it comes to the atomic structure of things that the blueprints call for in the spiral of DNA. It's calling for atoms. And that atomic structure is coming from things after our body breaks it down to amino acid forms, and then all the other stuff. That the fascination of what happens in the body and the molecular transformation of what we consume into ourselves, it is incredible. But the timeline of it is what I base my conclusion on, and I still stand by that. When it comes to healing brain cells, food is required. And the food shouldn't have anything in it that has any chemical components or alterations of genetic components, nothing that's unfamiliar to the DNA of my body. And they were made in the same timelines if you go to food that's been unaltered. And sometime in 2017, I wrote that I was going to have to finish healing and answer questions. And since 2019, I realized why I picked up on that in 2017. That the people that I trusted that were around me were desperately planning to prevent recovery. And the level they've gone to is so inhumane that I'm just going to end it at that tonight.